Leave people alone and live your own life, okay? Look in the mirror, pal, and stop trying to tell other people what to do. Holy but Jesus.
My question, I feel like there's been a lot of news this week, is what do you think about the decision the Supreme Court made about the transgender hormone stuff?
All right, so that's a very complicated issue, and it would probably take 2 hours to really have a full discussion about it, but here's what I will say about this. I don't want to get involved in families' lives. I don't want to get involved in parents' lives. If I was a parent, which I'm not, I would want to make sure that my child went through puberty first before making a decision like that. But guess what? That should be my decision if I'm a parent. Do I believe that if you're born a man I said this on I said this on Piers Morgan because I was asked about it. I believe that if you're born a man, transition to a woman, you shouldn't be on the playing field with other women. However, this isn't a top 5 issue or it's not a top 10 issue. And I don't want to get involved in families' lives, just like I don't want to tell a woman what to do with her body. I want people to live their lives. I want people to be happy. And if it's somebody that is a teenager or younger, that is a decision made by doctors and the legal guardians. It shouldn't be made by the government.
Yeah, I was looking up summaries of the decision. I mean, it's a very long, about 120 pages, give or take. And I got to say, as someone who's in the middle, I think the court got it 100% completely right. There's different levels of scrutiny when it comes to rights. Like there's the highest level of scrutiny is based on like race, alienage, and stuff like that. But with stuff like this, I mean, the court determined that the transgender, whether you identify a certain way, doesn't fit that. And I think it's just kind of when you see people.
Well, can I ask you a question? How does it affect you in your life?
It doesn't affect me.
Then why do you care? Then why do you care? Why do you think the Supreme Court should get involved then? Why do you care?
Well, Brian, did you own slaves? Do you think slavery is bad?
Did I own? You're making an analogy. Hold on a second. Let me.
No. What I'm saying.
Hold on.
Something doesn't have to directly impact.
With respect, you're comparing people who owned human beings to parents who make a decision to allow their children to be trans. Do you realize how ridiculous that analogy is?
Maybe it does not go completely parallel,
okay.
But my main point with that is saying just because it does not affect everyone does not make it.
Who are you to say that? And why are you against it? Why are you against it then? Are you an expert? Are you a medical professional? Do you know each individual, each child? Do you understand what's going through their mind? How do you know that this is a detriment or bad for society or bad for that child? Do you have any medical expertise at all to back up your claim? Because I'm assuming that's what your claim is. You think this is bad. Why? What is your expertise to form that opinion?
Well, the majority opinion cites many sources from, I believe, ranging back from like 2015 to 2020, even as early as 2024.
What source are you referring to?
There's a bunch of stuff. You'll have to read the opinion.
Well, I'm asking you, you're citing studies. I'm asking you to cite one study to what you're referring to. I have no idea what you're talking about. You know what studies I would refer to? You know what studies I would go to? Center for Disease Control. I would go to, there are plenty of studies that you could look at, and you could go to medical facilities that will tell you, because this is a fact, that one of the leading causes of children who lose their life is something called suicide. And sometimes it happens because of gender dysphoria. Are you aware of that, sir?
Are you aware that the suicide rate
Why are you not answering
after transition?
Why are you?
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
What study are you referring to that would lead you to believe that after a child gets transgender surgery, the odds of them taking their own life is greater? Can you please cite me what study you got that from?
I'll email it to you.
It's, sir, with all due respect.
Brian, you're changing the issue.
Sir, I'm not changing the issue.
I'm not asking you to cite specific things. What I'm saying
is, who are you
to know that teenagers?
What I'm saying is, who are you to say? I'm not telling people what to do with their bodies. You are. Do you understand the difference?
I'm just saying,
yes, you are. You're saying you're okay.
What am I saying?
You're saying you're okay with the Supreme Court ruling on telling parents that they cannot have their children become transgender. So in essence, you're telling parents what to do.
Until they turn 18.
Doesn't matter what the age is. You're telling them what to do. I'm not. Do you understand the difference? It's just like
I'm
abortion.
not telling them what
you're doing is
I'm saying that the law needs to be upheld, and that law is good law.
Okay, what law being upheld? What law being upheld? What law? What do you mean? This hasn't happened in the past. What law? You're talking about recently?
The law that was in question in Scarametti versus Tennessee, which banned hormone therapy and other gender-affirming care.
So you're telling me every parent across the country that has given their children under the age of 18 hormone therapy is breaking the law? Is that what you're saying?
And that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
So what are you talking about then?
What I'm saying now is that after the Supreme Court's decision, that Tennessee law, now on, it's upheld.
Okay, so, I'm going to try to backtrack.
They would be breaking the law.
I'm going to try to backtrack. Hold on.
We don't believe in ex
post
reset. Facto.
Let's reset. Let's try to backtrack for a moment. Do you have kids, sir?
No, I don't.
You don't. Okay, that's okay. Let's just pretend.
Do you?
Let's just pretend. There's a reason why I asked, sir. Let's pretend you do have kids. The difference between me and you is, just like with abortion, I don't tell people what to do with their bodies. It could be a vaccine. I never was for the mandates. I tell people, if you want to have an abortion, it's a very difficult private decision that you and your family and your doctor make. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your bodies. And I'm not going to hold on. I'm getting to the point here. I'm not going to tell parents what to do when it comes to their kids and being transgender. You know why? Because a child just can't walk into a hospital like people like you might believe and automatically get a transgender surgery or hormone therapy. There is a process that you have to go through. You are not a medical expert. Justice Kavanaugh is not a medical expert, and they shouldn't be deciding what parents and doctors believe might be the right thing to do for their children. In essence, you want to go into their homes and tell them, no, you can't have this surgery. Who the hell are you to say that a 16 or 17-year-old teenager who's been wanting to be a different transgender since the age of 5, doctors say it's safe, doctors are okay with it, the parents are okay with it, but you calling in,
split down the middle. Let's not say, all doctors say it's safe. They are split down the middle.
Okay, you're not listening to me.
I'm listening.
No, you're not. I want you to listen to me. I didn't say all doctors agree. Here's what I said. Parents agree. The child's been wanting it done, and they go to see specialists who also approve it. Who the hell are you to say that's wrong? You can't do that when you have zero medical expertise, just like Justice Kavanaugh, who likes his beer.
I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm saying they should wait till 18. If you're 18,
and that's, guess what? If you have a child, then you have the right, if they're under 18, not to have your child get the surgery. That's your opinion, and you're
what
entitled.
If my 12-year-old wants to be a race car driver and wants to drive?
What?
It's like, okay.
What?
What if my child wants to be a race car driver and wants to drive?
Because there is a law that says you have to be. Because there's a law that says you have to be 16 years old to drive a car, nitwit.
Now there's a law
in
that
Tennessee.
says you have to be 18
in Tennessee, not throughout the entire country, right?
Other states,
but if you had it, okay, well, we'll see about that. But guess what? A parent,
other states will.
Guess
follow.
what? Here's the difference. Here's the difference. You see, if you're 15 years old, you can't drive to another state and drive a race car. Okay, you need a driver's license. Guess what? If you're a parent who lives in Tennessee, you can go to another state and have your child get it. So that's why it's a ridiculous analogy, just like the analogy that you tried to make about slavery, which, with all due respect, sir, shows your complete and utter ignorance. You're talking about people who owned human beings, and you're trying to compare that to legal guardians and doctors that are giving them the okay for a child to have it. Why don't you just worry about yourself? That's the problem with all of you idiots out there. Stop interfering with other people's lives. You don't even have kids yourself. Why don't you just leave people alone? Leave people alone and live your own life, okay? Look in the mirror, pal, and stop trying to tell other people what to do. Holy but Jesus.